Hello and welcome to Journey to Everlasting, the show that looks at all things relationship, be it marriage, be it courting to eventually, God willing, get to marriage. We try to tackle it all looking at it from three different lenses. The first one being the practical lens where we bring a couple, the second one being a professional lens where we bring a professional, and the third one obviously being a spiritual lens where we bring a pastor to look at the biblical side of these topics. Today we're talking about something that is a bit of a hot topic, and joining me today is the couple, Liesel and Marco. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, so I said today is a bit of a hot topic because the topic we're going to be looking at is privacy within a relationship, be it marriage or courting, and what that looks like. So these days we see this wonderful and horrible device called a cell phone. One that has made many relationships and has also cost many relationships. In this show, we're looking at what kind of privacy couples should have regarding this. Do you think that it is okay for a spouse to have the other partner's cell phone or password?
Well, like you said, cell phones is widely used in everybody's lives.
Right.
You sort of depend on your cell phone even for a reminder.
Right.
So I would say that there would be some sort of things that you would do on your phone, but if you are going to restrict the access completely to your partner, it might cause a breakdown in the marriage. So if there is going to be an intentional restriction where you're going to know the password and you're not willing to share it with me, it's going to cause me to have an insecurity, and I'm going to ask why. It would be a different story if you tell me why. Yes, I'm at work and there are other people that have access to my phone, and then I would understand. But I would still want to know the password.
Okay. And what are your thoughts?
I agree fully with her.
Okay.
I'm of the view that we put on passwords on our phones for various reasons. We have two little girls, and sometimes they access our phones.
Right.
So for that reasons too. But we obviously have created that space where I will tell her what the password is. There's no secrets. So yeah. That's from my side.
Yeah, you can't really, because I mean, if you share a household from a marriage perspective,
Right.
if you share a household, you can't necessarily be, having a secret, because if your partner is gonna think that you are secretive, it's gonna cause trouble.
Maybe I'm planning a surprise birthday party, but so I like what you said when you said there's no secrets. So does that mean privacy within a marriage? Especially because you're married, privacy within a marriage is a no-no. Like, because some people or someone who's watching might say, but I'm also my own individual. I want my own things for myself.
That's a very good question. But remember, too much of privacy leads to people having secrets or secret chats. And in Deuteronomy 29, verse 29, we learn that all secrets belong to the Lord our God.
Yes, sir.
So we're trying to at least base that foundation that in this house, there is no secrets. And whether it's, our phones, we are totally transparent. A phone should be used for a mobile phone and every purpose it should be used, and that is to contact people and to always be contactable. But it should never be used as a tool where you seek more privacy in terms of you wanting to do your own thing.
Right. Oh, and I love that, and I think it's perfect because the both of you kind of see eye to eye in this regard, which is beautiful. But someone who is watching, or a couple that's watching, what happens now if perhaps the husband, or let's change the dynamic a bit. Let's say the wife doesn't want necessarily to give access, but then the husband does want access, and unfortunately or fortunately they're already married. There's that dynamic. How can they resolve an issue like that?
Well, that's why I said in the beginning, the fact that there is a password and you are withholding the password, it will cause doubt. And it is human nature for us to just be thinking that doubt might just spiral into something which is much bigger than what it really needs to be. So
Okay.
I would say to prevent problems, rather just share the password. And yes, I do hear what you are saying, that there will be times that you don't want your partner to know things, but what is the point of then being in a relationship because you are here to be a partner? So if there's no transparency within the relationship, it might not just be, or the end result might not just be what you want it to be.
Right. So just to I guess clarify and dig a little deeper at the same time, is transparency meaning there is nothing that the other person doesn't know? Or are there some things, let's not even say like relationship wise, like extramarital relationships or anything like that, but is transparency now sharing completely everything? Or for example, let's say you're going for and I'm not saying, let's say there's like a boys trip with the guys and whatnot, and you're going to maybe, I don't know, a rugby match. And you go, is that something that you have to then say, okay, today I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, give the entire schedule? Or are there some things where you're gonna be like, I'm gonna go out with the guys, and then she just knows that you're out with the guys?
The beauty of courtship is that you are not your individual self anymore, but you are more like a partner, and this is how we view it. There are many times that perhaps I go out seeking that I can maybe assist one of my extended family relatives without telling my wife, and in the past it has backfired. But I've learned now to discuss these things, to be totally transparent. That is the most important. And it's on that basis that I'm saying, I actually realize that there's more support coming from my life, from my wife, should I have been transparent in the first place.
Right.
So total transparency or nothing at all.
It actually helps.
She is my helpmate, and that is how I see it.
Women are naturally, wanting to know more. So
Oh, yeah.
it would come out.
It will come out. Believe you me. The investigators too.
No, I like that, and I'm so glad that you brought that dynamic, because a lot of times people are like, man, if I say everything, then I kind of lose my individuality. I'm hoping I'm not making up a word, but it seems like you've married a very smart man who learns very, very, very quickly. Unfortunately, for this segment, we have kind of run out of time. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We really, really appreciate you being there.
Thank you so much for having us.
We've been blessed. And for those of you who are watching, goals. There is a lot more to come regarding this. Please stay tuned for Journey to Everlasting to return, because we are now going to be going into a professional lens and look at why it's important or why it's not important for each of us to have privacy. Don't go away. We'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much for being here. And welcome back to Journey Everlasting, the show that tackles all things relationship. It's been a juicy episode where we're discussing privacy and cell phones, something that plagues households quite a bit. Today we have special guests, and I'm saying because it's a power couple of note, Mr. and Mrs. Bikwani. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here. We're very excited. And I understand you guys have a foundation. Can you please tell us a little bit about the foundation?
Well, thank you, Tapiwa. We are the founders of Isiseko Family Institute, and it's a foundation, as you call it. We call it an institution that is meant to support families in their journeys of being godly. Because we believe that families that are going to be successful in this environment of life are families that put God at the center of the family. And this circle is doing that. And it's doing it through a number of programs for engaged couples, married couples, and we also deal with parenting, have a platform for teenagers called Open Room for Teenagers. And we deal with annual men's retreats and annual married men's retreat. And, yes, and annual married women's retreat. These retreats, we do accept people who are divorced, widowed, engaged, but not single people.
And separated.
And separated, yes. And because the challenges are different between married people and single people.
Yes.
The agenda is not the same.
The single people are still fighting.
Absolutely.
And their fight is different as
It's a
well.
different fight as well. Yeah.
Yes. So that's the institute that we have. you know.
And we also have Restoring Lives, which is a program for those who have suffered a loss through death or divorce or separation.
Oh, wow. Then these are things that are very needed. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Very, very excited. And we're going to delve into the topic of privacy. And before the filming started, I'm telling a little bit behind the scenes. Daddy was like, "Can you just put my phone in Mama's purse?" And it was very transparent. And I'm looking at the balancing between transparency and having your own private life. I see you guys share the phone. I mean, how important is it, and how can couples find the right balance between privacy and transparency, I guess, being your own person and also, being one with the person that you're with?
I mean, this is a very interesting topic because we are trying to put on the table two, in a sense, competing values of privacy and transparency. But if we talk about marriage, and if we don't just talk about marriage, but we talk about marriage as really expressed in Genesis 2:25, where God sets the standard
Right.
of communication and transparency in the Bible. He says they were naked and not ashamed. So there's a standard of unashamed nakedness
Right.
in the Bible,
Right.
in all respects. So if we talk about that marriage, and we talk about the marriage that Paul refers to in 1 Corinthians 7,
Right.
I think it's 7:4, where Paul says a woman has no authority over her own body, but her husband does. And a husband has no authority over his own body.
People forget that.
Yes, but his wife does. Now, if we talk about that kind of marriage, then privacy has been swallowed by transparency. There's no privacy in marriage.
Right.
You want privacy, don't get married.
Don't get married.
Don't get married.
This is why the fights are different.
Absolutely. If you want privacy, don't get married. Because in marriage, there is no privacy. We were still dating with my wife. In 1997, I was going to Denmark, I believe. Yes. Going to Denmark, this was the times before roaming. So there was no point for me. There was no point for me to take my cell phone to Denmark because there's no roaming.
Oh, yes.
We were still dating because we got married in 1999. I left my phone with her.
Challenge. That's a challenge.
Before we got married, I left my phone with her because I knew what comes on my phone she can deal with. There's nothing which is going to come on my phone that is going to put me in trouble. There's nothing. Up to today.
Yeah.
Up to today.
I feel like we should just have a full episode just with you, just a full 30 minutes only, where we just discuss, because this is a beautiful, beautiful marriage, and even off cameras, you can see the love that is there. But unfortunately, they just said in my ear, okay, running out, and I'm like, ha, already. That quickly, but thank you so much for having that. I think, like you said, we need to have that discussion of before even the transparency and the privacy. We need to look at what God means when he's talking about marriage, when he's talking about oneness. And if you are there with us wanting to discuss that, please do so in the comments below. Be sure to find us on our different social media platforms, and you could tag us with the hashtag J, the letter J, the number 2E on Sid Media. Mama Daddy, thank you so much for this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are watching Journey to Everlasting, and it's been an amazing show. It's been quite something where we discuss privacy within a marriage, and privacy rather versus transparency. And of course, with Journey to Everlasting, we need a spiritual lens on the topics that we discuss. And with us is Pastor Andrew Gouws. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for this privilege.
Yeah, so we are discussing something that is becoming more and more an issue, I think, with technology increasing, which is privacy versus transparency when it comes to a marriage or relationship. We've kind of been specifically looking at the cell phone, and you know how maybe it's my cell phone, it's my information. I don't want to necessarily share it with my partner. Now we're going to be delving onto it with a spiritual lens. Like I said, are there any principles biblically that can guide us regarding privacy within a marriage and within a relationship?
That's a very interesting way of putting it, against privacy, against transparency, because I think they are not in opposition to one another necessarily.
Right.
In terms of the culture that we currently have, our devices become extensions of us.
Of ourselves,
So
right.
it's definitely something that if you have my phone, you can know a great deal about me.
Right.
You can know about my family, my interests, and you can also know to an extent what's going on in my mind and my heart.
Right. Right.
And I think at that point, there's like a diverging concept that we need to address, in the sense that we are talking here about within the marriage context. So it's not about dating or courtship. Let me first deal with the marriage aspect.
Right.
Because if we work from that premise that my cell phone, my device, is an extension of me, you are in effect declaring that if you're not allowed to touch that, you're not allowed to see what's going on there, that there's a part of me that you cannot know.
See, right.
That you can, it's not part of this oneness that we're trying to create. And there might be various reasons for that. You know, you might say, but it's because of work and everything. And there we need to also then say, but let us delve deeper if it's really about that, you know? And I think there's a principle, a biblical principle that Paul teaches us in Philippians 4 verse 8, where he says, finally, brethren, let me just read it for us because it's so essential when we talk about privacy. It says, whatever things are true, whatever things are honorable, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there be any virtue And if there be any praise, think on these things. Let that be an extension of your mind.
Right.
So if my spouse were to get my phone, these things need to be there. If I espouse to be a decent husband.
Right.
Decent is perhaps a little bit, if I'm supposed to be a great,
yeah.
the best husband, possibly.
Right.
Then my extension of me, my phone, my device, should not be an area where I have any concern sharing with my wife.
Right. And I like that you mentioned that the devices are almost an extension of us, because now it begs to ask the question, are you who you say you are?
Yes.
Because that part of you can be hidden away. So are you actually that person? But let's say, for example, a married couple has different views regarding the privacy of their phone. Maybe I don't want to necessarily share my phone. I have my thing.
Sometimes you have a group discussion on a girls' platform or whatever,
And there's also planning a surprise party. You never know.
How many of those happen?
At least one a year. But
yes.
for whatever reason, you could be saying, I want to keep my phone on me or myself without necessarily sharing the password. And my spouse is saying, I want you to share.
I would ask why. That question of why do you feel a need to protect what you have on your phone, as opposed to why do you feel a need as a spouse to see what happens on your partner's phone?
Right.
That's an area that we need to explore. And that's an area where I think we need to recognize the complexity of this matter, that it's not just about are they allowed, are they not allowed?
There's a reason behind it.
I would say, why do you need that? And that's where trust comes in again. It's always about trust. But if we think about the biblical narrative regarding respect and love, even if we read that portion of Philippians 4 verse 8, we recognize, if we go to Ephesians chapter 6 and we read the whole armor of God that we need to put on, it comes after there was a discussion on the relationship between husband and wife, parents towards children. So it's within a family dynamic that we have this: protect yourself. Make sure that your thoughts, as Philippians teach us, are of a certain aspect, so that if you are in a committed relationship, what happens on your phone should not be an area of conflict. Let's say there is. Let's say there is a dynamic where there's not necessarily the fullness of trust that I don't need to see your phone. But if you want to, there's your access to it, whatever the case. That doesn't exist. Basic skills of conflict resolution is don't let it be when you guys are emotional. Address this. It's classic. I like when I deal with couples and we talk about conflict resolution. Schedule time where you're going to address the issue that is conflict. Schedule time where you're going to address it. Bring solutions.
Right.
Bring solutions and listen to the other person's reasons before you respond. And you can even give a day or two before you come to the next session where you actually speak about, just sit and listen to the reasons why that person. And sometimes you find that miscommunication, previous experiences, because our devices can also be used as a controlling mechanism in relationships that are not healthy. So perhaps out of a previous relationship, there was a bad experience, and you just now think, but the person has something to hide, but actually that's just a little bit of security that that person has in knowing that. So that's why I say it's such a complex thing, but the basic tenets of clear communication, transparency, conflict resolution are still in place, even for matters such as, are you allowed to look on my phone?
and since we're kind of looking through a spiritual lens, briefly in about 30 seconds, the part that prayer has when it comes to, I guess, the conflict resolution and also addressing the issue of privacy?
Prayer creates a space where the Holy Spirit can show us what's in our hearts.
Right.
And I think if we as couples pray together, we create a space where I can be honest with my heart, with myself,
Right.
that what are the reasons why I cannot fully give everything, even my device, in this relationship. So I think prayer creates a space where there is where the Holy Spirit can impress upon our hearts where we need to work still,
Right.
among other things.
No, yeah. Of course. And thank you so much. I know the time seems to just always cruise, and you're like, I'm just getting started, and then now I have to cut him off, and I'm so sorry. But we really, really appreciate you taking the time
Only a
once
pleasure.
again to be here and discuss this. For those of you who want to continue the discussion, please do so in the comments below on our various social media platforms. Be sure to use our hashtag the letter J, 2E on Sid Media. That is hashtag the letter J, the number 2E on Sid Media. As for me, Tapio Mshoshi, and the Journey to Everlasting team, it is goodbye and God bless.